Hello everybody and welcome back to the Entertainment Brick Show. Today we are continuing on with the LEGO Star Wars Disney Plus TV series, LEGO video game level ideas. I don't know, long title, but we are continuing on. We are doing part 2 of the Mandalorian Season 3 levels. If you haven't seen part 1, highly recommend you go watch part 1 because obviously part 1 had the first 4 episodes turned into levels. These will have the last 4. And again, at this time, I've seen all of The Mandalorian Season 3. And, I wasn't a crazy fan of it, but still wanted to do some videos to show off some of the level ideas I had if it were to be a LEGO game. I don't know. I guess we'll just kind of get right into it with level 5. So before I get into the level, I want to just kind of run over some, rules and stuff, I guess. I don't know. Basically, I designed levels based off of, in this case, The Mandalorian Season 3, with each episode turned into a traditional LEGO game style level with 3 separate parts per level to play through. And in these videos, I outlined the part of the episode / level that you play through, the characters you play as, and the objective of the level you are going to achieve, basically. And, with that being said, let us start with level 5 based off of episode 5 of Season 3 of The Mandalorian. That being the pirate. This is my favorite episode of Season 3. So, for part 1, I didn't really know how to do a lot of the stuff at the beginning, because it was kind of like a lot of talking and going to this place, and then going to this place. So, I first kind of I kind of had to stretch a few things and make some changes, some mechanic changes to some of these levels here. So, the first part is the New Republic situation, the New Republic kind of thing that they did in the beginning of the episode, and this is only part 1 of level 5, but in this first part, there will be kind of 2 separate sections that you kind of play through that are a little shorter than the typical part of a certain level. If that made any sense? I don't know if that made sense, but anyways, there's kind of 2 separate sections. So the first section of this part is where you play as Captain Carson Teva and Zeb, or whatever, Gar Zeb Orelius, in his New Republic outfit. And the first objective in the first section is to power up the hologram player, whatever that is, in the Adelphi base, I think it's called. So, kind of in the scene, basically, Captain Carson Teva has to basically use this hologram projector thing to play a message. And I'm thinking to actually have this be a playable part of the level, you gotta have something to do, right? So I'm thinking it's gonna be the little hangout area on that Adelphi base, whatever that was, where kind of all the Republic pilots were able to kind of hang out for a little bit, drink a little bit, play a couple games and stuff. Just kind of a recreational area. So in this area, you're gonna have to just solve puzzles again as Carson Teva and Zeb around this little area to basically find a way to build a generator or something to power up the hologram projector, and then obviously play whatever is on it. So that's what I'm thinking for the first part, or the first section of part 1. Then the next section, then it goes to where you play as Captain Carson Teva and Elia Kane in her amnesty program kind of outfit, whatever that design is. And then that objective is to find a way into the New Republic office where they have to meet with that, whatever that Commander General guy was. I forget his name. And I also forget the actor's name now that I've recorded this video. I forget the actor's name, but basically, you have to find a way. You're gonna be in that little office area, solving puzzles as the both of those characters, finding a way to open up that door, and then that'll trigger the cutscene. So this first part's a little rocky, just because I couldn't think of anything to do in this beginning part of the episode. So I kind of had to stretch a little bit, and I also had to find a way to make it so that this first part of the level actually had some length to it, and you didn't finish it in 2 minutes, right? So then moving on to part 2. This is the Saving Navarro sequence, where you're going to be playing as Paz Vizsla, and then also playing as 2 Mandalorians, a part of the Mudhorn clan. Just, 2 random Mandos that you can play as. And the objective is to defeat all the pirates in the Navarro streets, and there will also be a mini-boss who will be a cannon, the guy, the cannon, with the firing cannon, whatever. So kind of what I'm envisioning here is that, again, playing as Paz Vizsla and those 2 Mandos, you'll be kind of running around through the streets of Navarro, fighting off pirates and stuff like that, and then eventually you reach a point where you kind of get to this open area in Navarro where this one of those pirates has the cannon aimed and starts shooting, and you kind of have a little mini boss fight with this guy here And then eventually when you defeat him, that triggers the cutscene to continue on to the next part of the level. But it's mostly just kind of like a puzzle/action-oriented part of the level. Again, running through Navarro, fighting off a bunch of pirates on the ground level. And then for part 3, this is the Gorian Shards Corsair part of the level here, where you're going to be playing as Mando's N1 Starfighter, and then also the Fang Fighter, Flyer, whatever. So basically, the idea is that you're going to be, instead of playing as an actual character, you'll be playing as a ship, and you'll be flying around the skies of Navarro, trying to fight off Gorian Shard's Corsair ship as like the boss fight. So the objective is to defeat Gorian Shard's Corsair. So basically, if you haven't played any of the other Star Wars games, and specifically Star Wars The Force Awakens, that Lego game, there's like there's levels where you would play as a ship, basically, and fly around in a certain radius or certain area, and have to fight off certain, enemies, I guess. And that's what I'm thinking of utilizing, that kind of mechanic for this part of the level, where again, you're going to be kind of in this open area. There will be snub fighters flying all around that you have to shoot and take down. Then you also have your main boss fight, which is the giant Corsair ship above Navarro. So that's what I'm envisioning for level 5, and now we'll move on to level 6. The next level here is level 6, based off of episode 6 of Mandalorian Season 3, that being Guns for Hire. This was a weird episode, for sure. This is like a cameo episode, but, so it actually kind of worked for making like a Lego game level out of it, which I thought was kind of fun. So part 1 here is, entering Plazier 15, I think that's what it's called. And you're going to be playing as the Mandalorian in his Season 3 outfit. I don't know if it changes much, but I want to just highlight that anyways. Bo-Katan, helmetless, and you also play as Grogu in this part of the level. And the objective is to traverse through Plazier 15's halls to reach the Lord and Lady, which end up being Lizzo and Jack Black. So I think it'd be kind of cool if there's like a cutscene where you get to see Lego Jack Black, like legitimate Lego Jack Black, and Lego Lizzo. I think was even funnier. So, that would be kind of cool. But basically, this is going to be much more of a puzzle-oriented part of the level, where you're just going to be kind of going through the halls of the Plazier 15 castle, and just solving, very simple puzzles to eventually, like, open doors and make your way across, and eventually, like I said, you reach, whatever that, like, dining hall was at Plazier 15, where Jack Black and Lizzo were. And when you kind of approach that area, the cutscene triggers to move on to the next area. But again, this is going to be much more of a puzzle-oriented part of this level. Not too much action really happening. Maybe there's going to be like a sequence where you're on like the deck or the hangar or whatever, and you get to go into like that really cool, like, I don't know, what was that, like tube that like shot Mando, Grogu, and Bo-Katan through like a glass tube, and then they got shot back out, which I thought was kind of cool. Maybe you get to like play through some of that or something. I don't know. There's definitely some cool things you could maybe do with this part, just kind of exploring this castle area. But again, much more of a puzzle-oriented part. Next is part 2, which is the Droid on the Run sequence, where you're going to be playing as the Mandalorian in his Season 3 outfit, and Bo-Katan, who is helmetless. And the objective is to chase after the Super Battle Droid through the streets of Plazier 15. This is going to be much more... It kind of reminded me of like Coruscant, this area, where basically this Super Battle Droid is running throughout the streets of Plazier 15, and Mando and Bo-Katan chase after him, basically. So this is, again, going to be more of like a puzzle-oriented part of the level. Maybe they sprinkle in a few like droids or something like that to fight throughout the level, I guess, or throughout this part of the level. But you'll be kind of solving puzzles. The Super Battle Droid will run away, and then you have to solve a couple of puzzles to eventually reach and catch up to him. And then you have to do that over and over again until you eventually, catch him and reach the end of the level. I don't know if this will have like a boss fight or anything in this part where you play or where you have to fight the Super Battle Droid, but because they kind of took him down really easy after they caught up with them. But just like kind of running through the streets and avoiding people and like going through like shortcuts and different puzzles to get to different areas to eventually reach this battle droid, I think is what most this level is going to be, because it's going to be like a chase sequence. It's going to be a chase part of the level. So that's what I'm thinking there. And then part 3 is the ending, sequence here, where we have the ruler of Mandalore. The ruler of Mandalore is kind of decided. The ruler of the Mandalorians are decided. So you're going to be playing as the Mandalorian Season 3 and Bo-Katan helmetless. And the objective is to actually have a boss fight with Axe Woves. So in the scene, Bo-Katan and Mando show up to Axe Woves' like group, I guess. And, he's challenged for the Darksaber, or challenged to get, with the Darksaber, whatever, and then Bo-Katan and Axe Wolves fight. And I'm thinking, might as well just, play through this part of the level where you're going to just have, I'm thinking maybe like he can, to make it more of like a boss fight, Axe Wolves can call in like Mandalorians to other Mandos to help them out. So you're going to be fighting, Axe Wolves and Mandos and, just a whole sequence of enemies as you're kind of going around like the little like shipyard or wherever that is. So that's kind of what I'm thinking for that part, and that concludes level 6. Now we'll move on to level 7. Next up, we have level 7, or based off of episode 7, which is called The Spies. This is, part of the finale kind of episodes here for Season 3, and they were pretty good episodes, I guess. I don't know. It was alright, but this episode in particular was really good, I thought. I really did enjoy this episode, and part 1 for this episode is IG-12, where we're kind of talking, we're talking about IG-12 in this part, and you're going to be playing as the Mandalorian in his Season 3 outfit, Grief Karga in his High Magistrate outfit, and one of the Anzellans. I was going to say an Anzellan, but it's kind of, hard to differentiate, but one of the Anzellans, and then Grogu as well. And the objective is to put together IG-12. So instead of actually just having IG-12 be revealed immediately, I kind of decided to extend this scene, to make it a playable part of the level, where you actually have to build IG-11. And what I'm thinking here is as Grief Karga and Mando, who are two, very, bigger, taller characters, you'll be able to kind of go around Grief Karga's office as, like, a regular minifig character, right? And you'll be able to, build stuff, whatever, and destroy things in his office and solve puzzles in his office to get the parts for IG-11 to be built. But then when you play as one of the Anzellans and Grogu, you will actually have like a whole different perspective, or camera perspective, where it's going to be more like over the shoulder or something like that, where as these smaller characters, you can kind of like fit into tighter quarters or tighter spaces to kind of like help out and to solve puzzles. That's kind of what I'm thinking to make this part unique to this level or to this game, whatever. Where you'd be like having to like go into like the wall or something, and you can only do that as one of the Anzellans and Grogu, and then that will be able to like get you a part so that you can play as Mando or Grief Karga to build it up and build, again, like I said, IG-11 or IG-12 rather. So that's what I'm thinking there. Then for part 2 of level 7, this is that Mandalorian duel, whatever, and you'll be playing as Paz Vizsla and Axe Wolves, but this is going to be a player versus player matchup. As if you play co-op. If you're playing single player, you'll probably just play as Paz Vizsla. But if you're playing co-op, it will be a player versus player part of the level, similar to LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga with the Revenge of the Sith final level, where if you have co-op characters, one person will play as Obi-Wan Kenobi, the other will play as Anakin Skywalker, and you have to fight each other. That's what I'm thinking here, except with Paz Vizsla and Axe Wolves, because in this scene they kind of have like a fight, right? And they get into a fight, and I'm thinking, best way to kind of make that a unique playable part is to have that be where whoever you're playing with plays as Paz Vizsla, the other plays as Axe Wolves. You get an extended amount of health, so you can just kind of go at each other, and then eventually whoever gets one of the other's hearts down fast enough wins, basically. So I was thinking that would be kind of cool to represent this part of the level. Again, if you're only playing single player, you'll either play as Axe Wolves or Paz Vizsla, and just kind of have a regular boss fight from there. But yeah, that's part 2, and then part 3 is the Empire's Trap. So for this part, I'm thinking you play as the Mandalorian in his Season 3 outfit, and then Paz Vizsla. And the reason I chose those two characters is because those two characters were the only ones who went like past the door that the Mandos get trapped into. So I was thinking those are probably going to be the best picks. And the objective is to defeat the Praetorian Guards. So you actually have a boss fight with these 3 Praetorian Guards who end up killing Paz. But regardless, boss fight. Boss fight with them. And you also have to fight a bunch of the Stormtrooper Mandos. You won't have to fight Moff Gideon or anything yet. That'll be safe for the next level, of course. But yeah, this is a cool boss fight with the 3 Praetorian Guards that Paz Vizsla dies to. And again, you're going to be playing as Mando and Paz. I know Mando's not really in this scene, but again, he was the only one that went past the door, so I figured he'd probably be the best pick. And that's level 7. Now we'll move on to level 8. The next level here, the final level actually, is level 8, or episode 8, which is The Return. That's what it's called. And this is the final level. This is the final level of Mando Season 3. So, the first part here is the fleet, and basically you play as, it actually utilizes the LEGO Star Wars 3, the Clone Wars change character, change setting mechanic, where you play as Axe Woves as just like flying in space, basically. So kind of like similar to some of the fall sequences in LEGO Marvel Superheroes, for instance, where like in the Fantastic Four level, you fell from the sky, and like that was one of the parts of the level of that level. That's what I'm doing here, but except again with Axe Woves flying up into space to the Mandalorian fleet to warn them. And then on the other side, you play as the Mandalorian Season 3, and you play as IG-12, and that objective is to sneak through the Imperial base. So again, one side, Axe Woves flying up, you have to like kind of avoid TIE fighters and like dodge TIE fighters that come at you. You have to shoot at, a couple of Stormtrooper Mandalorians who try to stop you. I know that wasn't really what happened in the episode, or that part of the episode, but, just kind of make it a playable part. I figured, have Axe Woves fire at some Stormtrooper Mandos, dodge some TIE fighters and stuff like that. Like, it'll be fun to play through. And then again, on the other side, you play as the Mandalorian in IG-12, sneaking through the Imperial base, taking down Stormtrooper Mandalorians, and kind of, just like, it's a stealth part of the mission here. And, that's part 1, and then part 2 is the laser fields. I didn't really know what to call this one, but it reminded me a lot of the Phantom Menace. I imagine it reminded you of a lot of the Phantom Menace as well, just because of the laser fields. But you play as the Mandalorian in his Season 3 outfit, and you also play as IG-12 once again, and the objective is to defeat the Stormtrooper Mandalorians from each, laser field, basically. So if you don't remember from the episode, basically, there were these laser fields that R5 was able to shut off, and then Mando would, like, move up into this other area, fight a couple of Stormtrooper Mandalorians, take their weapons, and then move up again, and do the exact same thing over and over and over again. So that's what I'm thinking to kind of represent this part of the level, and I'm thinking again that it's basically going to be kind of like a boss fight, I'm thinking, where all the Stormtrooper Mandalorians are going to be a part of one giant health bar, and when you take one down, the health bar goes down, and again you just keep moving up through each laser field, fighting off these Stormtrooper Mandalorians, and then moving up to the next one and the next one and the next one, up until obviously you're done, and then you move on to the next cutscene or whatever, and then move on to the last part. But so that's what I'm thinking for part 2. Just kind of like a boss fight with a bunch of Stormtrooper Mandos. Then for part 3, this is the final, for Mandalore kind of sequence. This also uses the LEGO Star Wars 3, the Clone Wars change character, change setting mechanic, where on one side you're going to be playing as Bo-Katan, and the objective is to defeat Moff Gideon. So a full-blown boss fight with Moff Gideon, where Bo has the Darksaber, and then Moff, I think he had like a staff or something like that. I don't remember exactly, actually, off the top of my head. I don't remember. Did he actually have I think he did. Anyways, boss fight with Moff Gideon in the Mando armor. Very cool look for him. And then on the other side is you play as the Mandalorian Season 3, and then you also play as Grogu. And the objective there is to defeat the Praetorian Guard. So another Praetorian Guard boss fight, but they do make a return in this episode, and Mando and Grogu do fight them. So I figured, have to show that some way. And the best way to do that was to have Mando and Grogu fight them as a boss fight, once again, from based on, similar to the last part of the last level. So that is both those boss fights. That is part 3, and that is level 8, and that is also the conclusion. The Mandalorian Season 3 levels. So there you have it. That is my Mandalorian Season 3 Part 2 video. We did all the last 4 episodes of The Mandalorian Season 3. If you haven't checked out the first part, please go check out that first part, because that is all Mando Season 3, if you're interested. And yeah, that's really it. So if you enjoyed that video, do the kind of YouTube stuff, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.